The zigzag theory has been kind to us in the NBA playoffs so far. Will we continue to ride the zigzag in Game 3 in Philadelphia tonight? The Knicks may have won Game 2, but they may have lost the war. We're going to talk about that game. We'll also talk about the San Antonio Spurs at the Minnesota Timberwolves in Game 3. Let's get it started with the Knicks. They won by a score of 108-102 in Game 2. We had Philadelphia plus 7.5 in that game, and the line ballooned to 10 or double digits after Joel Embiid was announced out a little bit later in the day. And I had some people asking me, should we get out of that bet? And I advised them, there's no way out. You got to ride it even when you got a bad line, and it worked out for us, thankfully. Jalen Brunson scored 26 points on 9 of 21 shooting. OG Anunoby scored 24 points on 9 of 17 shooting. And I mentioned that New York won the game. They might have lost the war. That's because OG Anunoby suffered a hamstring injury. His status for Game 3 is doubtful at best. I don't think he's going to play. And if you think back to two seasons ago, OG Anunoby suffered a hamstring injury. The Knicks were really banged up, and they were up 2-0 against the Indiana Pacers. And I know a guy, real handsome fella, told you to take the Pacers to win Game 3 and win that series at plus 800. Well, we all know how that worked out. Anyways, shooting 61.9% from the field, OG Anunoby, the best shooter on the team at this point throughout the playoffs. And he leads the team hitting 53% from beyond the arc. And he's also the best two-way player in the playoffs at the moment. Perhaps the Knicks' most valuable player, to be honest with you. The Knicks are 6-0 against the spread in their last 6 at Philadelphia. They're 9-2 straight up in their last 11 versus the Sixers. But without OG Anunoby, I wouldn't feel all that confident. The Sixers shot 45% from the field and 38% from three-point range in Game 2. They led by 1 after the first quarter. They led by 3 at halftime, and they led heading into the third quarter. But they were outscored 19-12 in the fourth quarter. I believe they were 1 of 10 or 1 of 11 from three-point range in the fourth quarter. So that's how they lost that game. Tyrese Maxey scored 26 points on 9 of 23 shooting. And now the question is, will Joel Embiid play in Game 3? Now, I expect Joel Embiid to play. And I'm going to be betting on the Sixers in this game one way or the other. But even if Embiid doesn't play, I'll tell you right now, I can't say for sure that Embiid's going to play in this game. But if it's announced later on in the day that Embiid's out, don't sweat it. I like Philly regardless. I really like Philly regardless. The Knicks, without OG Anunoby, have a record of 8-7 this season and 27-24 since the trade, acquiring him from Toronto in 2023. In the first season that they acquired OG Anunoby, they had an incredible record with him in the lineup. Again, he is one of the most valuable players in the NBA to his team, not just what he does offensively, but what he does defensively. And Philadelphia, they are 6-2 against the spread in their last 8 home games. But I'm going to go back to the trend that we've talked a lot about in the past. Teams down 0-2, heading home for Game 3. In the first half of Game 3, hitting between 66 and 74%, depending on the source. Let's just call it 70% against the spread in the first half over the last 20 years. Give or take a percentage point or two, but 70% against the spread trends, 20 years deep. I'm not going to step in front of those. I'm going to take Philadelphia first half money line. I think the spread is going to be either +1 or -1 or a half or in that neighborhood. I'm just going to say take the money line. Whatever you do, don't lay 1 or half a point. But I also mentioned 2 years ago, the Indiana Pacers down 0-2 in the series, come back to win Game 3 and win the series in a 7th game at New York. why not take another stab at it? I don't like this one as much as I like the Pacers. This isn't going to be an official play. I don't want you to hold it against my record. I would recommend, if you're $100 better, put 90 of that on Philly for the first half in game 3. But for a $10 or $20 pick or play, Philadelphia to win game 3 and win the series at plus 750, I think that's worth a stab if you like the Sixers. So we'll leave it at that, and we'll talk about the San Antonio Spurs and the Minnesota Timberwolves. But before we do, let me tell you about a promotion we have available this summer, and this is only available at Picks and Parlays. This is the absolute best deal you'll ever get on my picks. If you want to pay for picks, this is pretty much the best way to ensure that you're going to be successful, because at $999 for every play in every sport for 365 days, you'll be paying less than $1 per play, which means the cost of purchasing the picks is almost going to be irrelevant to your bottom line if you're $100 better. And this puts you in the best position possible to succeed. And overall, the last 365 days, Major League Baseball hitting over 60%, over 65 units of profit. NHL playoffs, 11-4 now in the NHL playoffs. You guys remember college football, 80% in the playoffs, NFL football, 73% in the playoffs. How about the NBA playoffs? If you're not following me on Twitter, why not? At Jesse Schule. Check out the pinned tweet. I've been winning in the NBA playoffs for decades. We're 4-1 the last 2 days in the videos on this channel. Perfect 4-0 with client plays during that span. Let's not forget about the World Cup. I hit 71% with all my plays in the last World Cup. Number 1 profit handicapper on the network. Number 2 all-time with soccer. And I'm joined by Ben Burns, who has never lost a 5% play in the sport of soccer. You can get us both from today through the end of the World Cup for just $299. Both of these promos are only available at Picks and Parlays. You can find them at Ben's page or at my page. I do recommend that $999 365-day package. That is the best way to put yourself in position to win. Let's get back into the video. Let's talk about the Spurs and the Timberwolves. So San Antonio won game 2 by a score of 133-95. Of course, we all remember they lost game 1, 104-102, and it was a bit of a letdown spot for San Antonio, or at least it was a flat spot. They coming off a long layoff. Wembanyama scored 19 points on 7 of 15 shooting in game 2, scored just 11 points on 5 of 17 in game 1. They've lost 7 of their last 10 against this Minnesota team. They're 0-5 straight up and 2-3 against the spread in their last 5 at Minnesota. Now, San Antonio is a different team this season than they have been in previous seasons when they were losing those games. 14-6 straight up in their last 20 overall, 10-1 straight up in their last 11 road games, but 0-7 straight up in their last 7 at Minnesota. The Timberwolves, they shot 40% from the field in game 2, 30% from beyond the arc. In game 1, they shot 46% from the field, 38% from beyond the arc. Anthony Edwards, 18 points in game 1, 12 points in game 2. He's questionable for game 3. Much like Joel Embiid, I expect him to play in game 3, but the bet's going to stand regardless. Ayo Dosunmu, remember, he scored 43 points in game 4 against the Nuggets. He's also questionable. Now, I will say about these injuries would prevent me from taking Minnesota plus the points for the full game, because I think the lack of depth will go on to hurt them in the second half. But as far as the first half, first quarter, I think that will be a little less significant. If you look at San Antonio, when they were up 2-0 against Portland, game 3 in Portland, they were losing 29-27 after the first quarter. They were losing 65-59 at halftime. I look for deja vu all over again. We're going to take Minnesota plus 1.5 for the first quarter of game 3. We're going to take Philly for the first half on the money line, and we're going to sprinkle on Philly to win game 3 and win the series at plus 750. If you like this video, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and if you've got anything to say to me, even if it's nasty, hit me up in the comments below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.